Stephanie Dobson is once again with us this week for another episode of Healthy, Thriving Families in Two Homes. And Stephanie, this week we're going to be talking about retroactive child support. So tell me, what exactly does this mean?
You know, I thought this would be a really interesting topic because in 2020 and in 2021, the Supreme Court of Canada revisited this issue of what's called retroactive child support after the original principles of this concept were first introduced back in 2006, or were visited by the Supreme Court of Canada in 2006. So retroactive child support, what is it? It's child support that's ordered to be paid for a time that's already passed. So where there's been a material change in circumstances to the paying parent's income level, the law says that that paying parent needs to change their child support payment to match the income level. Where that doesn't happen, that paying parent could be subject to a retroactive increase in child support. So for example, if a parent was ordered to pay $800 a month in child support, but they should have been paying say $1,000 in child support for the past 12 months, they could be ordered to pay $2,400 in retroactive child support. So that'd be that extra $200 deficiency each month. So as you can imagine, that could become significant over time.
How far back, Stephanie, can people go if they're trying to get this retroactive support?
Well, there's a few things to consider here. So first of all, there's the general rule. And then as with many things in law, there's the exceptions. So let's first talk about the general rule. So there's a presumptive date that has been established by the Supreme Court of Canada, which typically would go back to the date of what's called effective notice, and no longer than 3 years prior to the date of what's called formal notice commencing proceedings. So what the heck is effective notice and how does a person give it? Well, that's really any indication given by the recipient parent that they want to revisit or renegotiate child support. So that could be as simple as a text message. It's better to be in writing, of course, because then you can prove when you gave your effective notice. Now, if a paying parent is looking for a reduction in their child support, that's also possible. And effective notice in that case has to be something more than just sending a text message saying my income has been reduced. It would be providing some kind of documentation that would prove that your income has been reduced, like a pay stub or an income tax return or something to that effect. So second, let's look at those exceptions because we always know that there are some. So various courts have been looking since 2006 at the issue of the exceptions. So, but the Supreme Court of Canada in 2020 and 2021 in these new decisions have addressed occasions where there needs to be exceptions to go back even further. So there is risk to paying parents that increase in child support on a retroactive basis could go back as far as when the income increase actually occurred. There are some factors that the court looks at to determine how far back to go. I'll just give those factors very briefly. Of course, they're very complicated, but just for our viewers' ease of reference. So first, the paying parent's reason for the delay in seeking that income, the increase in child support. Number two, the blameworthiness of the paying parent, if they've had any blameworthy conduct. The circumstances of the child, and any hardship that may be occasioned to the paying parent by ordering such a retroactive increase. The court, I can tell you, is not very tolerant anymore of paying parents who are not paying the child support that's owed according to the guidelines.
Stephanie, what things can be done to avoid issues with retroactive child support?
Well, these issues, of course, the dollar amounts that we're talking about could potentially be very significant for both the paying parent, who may be facing a large lump sum payment possibly, and for the recipient, who may have been struggling for many years to try to get the right amount of child support to be paid by the paying parent. So over the years since the Supreme Court of Canada case back in 2006 was released, there's been more and more positive obligations, mandatory obligations put on both paying parents and the recipient parent of child support to ensure that on an annual basis, at least on an annual basis, but even more so when income has increased, is to exchange income information. My recommendation to all of my clients is always follow that mandatory exchange of income. So once a year, typically in the spring, parents can exchange their tax returns, their corporate financial statements, whatever the most recent ones that are available, any documentation to prove income level. So put very, very simply, if there's a change in income, it's really important that the child support number be updated.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us today. And if people have questions about this, because this is a big issue, unfortunately, for a lot of families, whether it be child support not getting paid or whatever the case is, or they have questions about this, what is the best way to get more information from you regarding this?
Sure. Our viewers can go visit our website, henkadivorce.ca, or call our office 780-875-2234.
All right, Stephanie, well, thank you for joining us once again this week, and we will talk to you again.